Thank you for staying with us on the AM show. It's the big stories up next as we digest electricity tariff hikes and what the minority has been saying in Parliament. We're also going to be considering the minority calling for the head of the health minister, Kwaku Agyeman-Manu. We'll find out why. It's all about procurement breaches, failures to do certain things in Parliament. A committee, the health committee, has looked at all of that and they have come out with a report. But the point being made is that the minority wants to put forth a vote of censure on the floor of Parliament, which would require them to get about 2/3 majority in Parliament. Can they do it? 137 MPs, and maybe if they lose the Asin North MP, that would be 136, and they need about 184 to pull that through. We'll also be looking at the situation concerning Medina Member of Parliament, Francis Xavier Sosu. He uttered those words in recent times, famous or infamous, depending on where you sit, that there are political judges who will be dealt with politically. And some have said that that is in very dour, sour taste on the back of the history we have. But he has, in a sharp riposte, come to defend what he said, stating categorically that even if it costs him when it comes to his career as a lawyer, he will stand by the truth. So what are the dynamics? We're going to digest all of these issues as we host our guests. Martin Kpebu is a lawyer. He'll be joining us on this conversation. We have Collins Adomako-Mensah, Member of Parliament for Ifija Kwabre North. He will also join the conversation. But in the studio, we have Edward Abambire Bawa, Member of Parliament for Bongo. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Ben?
I am okay. A little, but we're fine.
Oh,
we're doing well. How about you?
By His grace. I think I'm doing well. The early part of the week, it was not good for me because I was at a funeral.
Right.
And I think it had a toll on me. So Monday, Tuesday was not very good for me. But today things are better.
Well, good to hear. There's a bit of, there are so many things in the air nowadays. So you just have to be careful. Is it Collins Adomako-Mensah we have joining now?
Yes, please.
Great. Thank you so much for joining the conversation, sir.
Thank you too.
Pleasure having you.
Brother.
So let's start with something that hits all of us. Bread and butter matters. There's this post by GH Hyper, and it simply says, 200 cedis fuel purchase gives me 28 liters. Got to the pump today with same 200 cedis, and I got 25. Why did I receive e-fuel? That is the twist to it. We also know that yesterday, we went by some of the pumps and we're looking at prices at around 7.99 Ghana cedis, 7 cedis, 99 pesos. We're slowly inching towards 8 cedis and beyond. And now we have this release talking about a 30% increase in transport fares, which actually is going to be effective from the 18th of February. So many matters to digest. I'll start with you, Collins. This whole bit about fuel price increases and all of that. What do you make of it? How do we deal with it?
Morning, but why start with me when the energy man himself is seated by you?
I will give him a bite, but since you're on Zoom, I must allow you to make your point.
Well, my brother, I this morning I bought some fuel.
Right.
And I must say, when I got there, I myself, I'm a member of government, but it's, as you said, it's a bread and butter issue. I got alarmed myself, and I began to make one or two few calls just to get an understanding of what exactly is going on. As you know, I am not an energy person. I'm sure Mr. Bawa will educate us a lot this morning, but I got a little bit worried. And my little education that I got was that, of course, there are some international situations that can culminate into this kind of prices. But locally, there are a few things that government on its own can also do, because government actions or inactions also contribute to the prices. And I believe that at this moment, government has to take a critical look of the factors that they have control over, i.e. taxes on fuel, and then especially with our interest rates, exchange rates situations, because my understanding is that it plays a key role in it plays a key role in the final outcome in terms of prices at the pump. Now, a little discussion with some few friends gave a hint that the BDCs apply dollar rates of 7 cedis when they are doing their calculations.
Right.
And it is so because of course, they anticipate all the time for an increase. I'm also told the Bank of Ghana on a yearly basis pumps close to about $7 billion to $10 billion into the system. And Bank of Ghana rate is normally hovering around 6.3, 6.5. I think the government has to take a conscious decision to discuss with Bank of Ghana to, as it were, give at least 4 billion of that kind of money to the BDCs, so they know that they are sure that they will be buying their dollar at this particular rate. I think I think this is going to help reduce the prices because it feeds into the calculations. And as I said, Mr. Bawa is around; he'll be giving us more information. Internationally, also, we hear Russia and Ukraine are having a tussle with NATO. Of course, as you know, Russia is the biggest supplier of gas to Europe. And so whenever there's an issue of this nature, it is clear that most countries now will be moving from the gas to fuel. And that has its own repercussions on the prices on the world market. And as I said, those ones is difficult to control. I believe government has to take a second look at where we have maximum control, i.e. Taxes and exchange rates, to ensure that going forward we bring a reduction. Because as it is now, if you are not careful, we might hit the 8 cities.
Right, and it's not surprising that you say even you were taken aback when you went to the fuel pump today to check, because we've moved from around 27 cedis per gallon to 36 cedis. So you do the dynamics there, about 9 cedis added on.
I'm a consumer. I'm a consumer myself.
Right. Do you draw?
I'm a member of this government. I'm also a consumer.
Right.
So when I got there and I saw the price, but I'm told that other stations, because of the market forces, other stations are doing 7.6, 7.7.
Right.
Others are doing 7.9. My only advice at this particular moment is to appeal to Ghanaians to weigh the options as of now, whilst government is looking at the one that they have control, to weigh the options to reduce their cost.
Okay, I'm just curious. As a member of parliament, do you draw on state fuel, so to speak, sometimes? Or do you always have to buy out of pocket?
Out of pocket.
I buy out of pocket, just like my brother Bawa.
Yeah.
We all buy
Out of pocket. Yes.
Right.
So I feel it. I feel it just as you feel it yourself. We are not giving any special preferences.
Right.
As members of parliament, we buy just as colleagues and brothers also buy from the pump. That is why this morning when I got there, I had to buy it.
It hit you. Right. Before I come to Bawa, so we've also had the dynamic of the price of this commodity on the international market to deal with, and it's hovering around $90 per barrel, like some have mentioned. Over the last few months, can you hear me, Collins?
I can hear you absolutely.
Right. So it's hovered between some $72 to about $90. And some are saying that was not the projection in our budget. We projected something around $60. And so if we're making a windfall, so to speak, like the minority has said, why don't you use the extra benefits you're getting to cushion the ordinary Ghanaian rather than have us still cough up these huge sums of money? I was just speaking this morning to Duncan Amwa, and he said, look, you can do it that way because the alternatives could even work against you as government. Because mind you, for government machinery, maybe you're spending about 500 million cedis fueling your own vehicles. It means that you're going to be paying these same sums, and that may even be more, because now you are going to apply the same prices to your own self when you're fueling government vehicles and all of that, which means that you may end up losing in the end. What do you make of that?
I think that is also a very sound argument. I might not have the appropriate answer, especially when I'm not in the saddle. I'm not with the finance ministry,
right?
And I'm not in government as in government. When I say government, I'm not a member of the executive as of now. So I might not be in a position to explain why the rainfall is not being applied to reducing the fuel prices. But I also believe that there are other competing needs or competing expenditures by government. As you know, clearly, our revenues as against our expenditures, there's a huge gap. So I'm sure the rainfall is also being applied to an equally important sector within the economy. And as I said, I don't have the exact reason why that is being done at this particular moment because I'm not in government. And I'm sure going forward, and I've heard people make this kind of argument. I'm quite confident that government may pay heed to the call and then try to see if that can help to reduce the prices.
Right. I have a message coming through for you with the hashtag AM Show on Facebook. The person says you are objective and I don't know whether to add cultured and that you should keep it up. So Collins, that is for you, a quick one. One of our viewers enjoying your submissions. Let me come into the studio and engage Bawa, Edward Bawa, who joins the conversation. What is your quick take on this? A 30% increment effective the 18th, fuel prices inching up. You've seen the figures yourself. And the call for government to, cushion the ordinary Ghanaian. Your global take on that.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers, and good morning to Collins. I listened to Collins' submission, and I couldn't have agreed with him more on most of the things he said. It is true that if you were to look at the factors that affect fuel prices at the pumps, mostly it is the price in the international market. It is also the exchange rate. It is also the taxes and levies that they put there. And of course, the margins, I'm talking about the statutory margins, because the distribution margins are always put by the OMCs. So the statutory margins. These are the factors that affect that. Now, government definitely has no control over the price of crude in the international market. They don't have control over that. But government has control over the taxes and levies and also on the statutory margins. So these are the three things they have control because the distribution margins definitely is private sector and therefore government has no control over that. It is true that if you look at the international market, the crude prices, they are really skyrocketing. I mean, you're talking about somewhere around almost 90, in the neighborhood of $90 per barrel. So they are really skyrocketing. The question you will ask yourself in these situations, how can government then mitigate these effects on consumers? And I think Collins had looked at a few things. He talked about the issues of the taxes. We have always believed that there are some taxes that could be taken out. And even if you take them out, they will not have an effect on the services they are supposed to fund.
Right.
We have given the example of one. Let's even use the SPT, that's the Special Petroleum Tax. I have always argued that the basis for which the Special Petroleum Tax was introduced into the price buildup those reasons are not tenable today. They are not tenable today because the basis for which that tax handle was introduced was the fact that we had first low crude production because we had a challenge with the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah. We had prices of the international market, the crude prices in the international market collapsing to as low as $30 per barrel. So because of these two things, these two factors, low production and then the low prices. Right. So our petrol revenues that were captured in the budget of 2015 there was going to be a shortfall on that. Right. So to put up a block, to take care of that, then the SPT, that's the Special Petroleum Tax, was introduced. The question I ask myself today is the fact that now we do not have low prices. Now we are hovering around, look, our benchmark revenue that we put in the budget was $62 per barrel. Now we are doing around 90, so already there's a windfall in that. Two, we are not producing like 70 barrels per day. We're producing almost 200,000 barrels per day. So if you have these two factors, it doesn't make sense to still keep this SPT in this price builder. Right. And the SPT alone is 46 pesos on almost a cedi on the price builder. So if you were to expunge this, you know that the effect it will have on the on the price. Two, was indicated that look, the issue of this sanitation and pollution levy that was introduced somewhere last year.
Right.
Look, every district assembly, every municipal assembly, every metropolitan assembly, on quarterly basis, anytime the district assembly's common fund is released to the assemblies, you have, they deduct 120,000 Ghana cedis from source for sanitation and for fumigation. The question you then ask yourself is that, if anybody in Ghana falls under one of these things, either a district, a municipal, or a district assembly, if we are already being charged about 120,000 Ghana cedis on a quarterly basis for sanitation, why do you then introduce another 10 pesos per liter on the price builder? So that can go. Are you getting the point I'm trying to make? I try to ask myself how the price stabilization and recovery levy, that government is suspended for 2 months and then reintroduced it because they said they were running short of it, and they ran the risk of not having money to fund, to subsidize premix and then what's the other product, RFO. The question you ask yourself is that government must first and foremost account for how much we have been accruing all these years, this period, from 2017 to now. Tell us how much we have accrued, because it's an insurance that we have been paying. 16 pesos per petrol, and then diesel and LPG is 14. So how much have we accrued that you think that just after 2 months, you think that you have run short of the funds? The suspicion I have is that, and it has been part of our history, where funds that are meant, tax handles on the petroleum buildup, that are meant for certain services are used otherwise. And so
that's a major problem we've had, even with you. Even with your administration. I mean, it's a problem that we've had over a long period, and that is one of the biggest frustrations of the ordinary Ghanaian who consumes these products. Because then, when you tell me even the evidence of our taxes and everything, this component is going to go into this, and you don't do that.
The evidence we have, and to be very sincere, because of the type of person I have today at the listen.
No, you're going to be sincere because it's Collins.
No, it's Collins. Collins has been listening, so I need to. The evidence we do have now, in terms of misappropriating tax accruals from some tax handles, has been the one that we did the toll recovery levy. That's the only evidence that we have. That was under Minister, Asamoah Boateng, when he was the information minister. So that is the only evidence that we have now. But I'm just saying that let's agree that yes, in all government, but it is a problem. Whether it is an NDC government, it is an MPP government, it is a problem. You understand? It's a problem that we need to look at. Collins makes a suggestion. It has been,
and maybe you just wrap on that. I want to bring in Martin Kwebu as well.
Yes, Collins made a suggestion about the fact that the Bank of Ghana could really look at in terms of the forex arrangements, where they could give it to them at a lower, because currently they buy from the commercial banks and in the market at about $7 7 cedis per dollar. There's a good point in there, but in the past, the challenge we have had with that is that even when the central bank decides that, look, we are going to make dollars available to BDCs, most often than not, they are not able to meet their demand. And when they don't meet their demand, they have to go into the market to be able to get it. Now, when they come, because of the fact that in terms of the calculation, the calibration of the pump prices, they use the forex, exchange rate as a basis to do the calculations. There's always a loss, the forex losses. And those forex losses, there's always a dispute between BDCs and government as to who assumes those liabilities. Are you getting the point I'm saying? Who assumes those liabilities? And that's why, over a period of time, we're accumulating what we call forex losses that government had to look for money to pay. And recently, I think about a year ago, government had to come to an arrangement with the BDCs to give, the BDCs gave government a haircut, and then they paid about 400 million Ghana cedis. And then they paid that and paid that this indebtedness off. So I'm just trying to say that, as we see today, government can deliberately decide that, look, there are some tax handles today that I can take off just to be able to handle this. Of course.
Can you give us one?
Oh, I've just given you. I gave you the SPT. I gave you the SPT, that's the special petroleum tax, which is 46 pesos per dollar, per liter. And then I gave you the sanitation one. If you take these two, it's almost a cedi. It's almost a cedi.
We're talking about an addition of about 9 cedis here.
Yeah. No.
Per gallon.
I agree with you, but I'm saying that I say a cedi per liter. Per liter. I don't know if I'm making sense, because currently we are not paying, if it is total, we are paying 7.99 per liter. So assuming that could be about 6.9. I'm just trying to make that in the circumstance that we find ourselves, government can look at other strategies. And I'm saying that there are some tax handles, the services for which they are supposed to fund. When we take them off, those services can still be
all right.
Be done.
Hold it right there. Let me engage lawyer Martin Kpebu. Martin, good morning.
Yeah, morning.
Pleasure having you. Thank you so much for staying on the line. My apologies for keeping you. Let's take a quick swipe at this issue of fuel prices because it affects everybody. I know we're going to deal with legal matters, the health minister, Francis Xavier Susu and more. But for you, how has this impacted your pocket, the fuel prices in recent months?
Oh, well, so we all are suffering it. As you can see, I'm in a car right now. So basically, it's difficult. It's way too high. I mean, I didn't anticipate that this high was just going to go. You see, and in this light, I would like to go with the panelists. You see, especially with what Mr. Abambire is saying, you would see that government has control over the taxes on the fuel. So for those ones, government should be able to do something. You see, that's specifically to reduce the taxes. And that one, I mean, it's a no-brainer that at this rate, government has to reduce the taxes on petrol. Because, you know, the last time I knew, the taxes are about 50% on each, what do you call it, gallon. Is that not so? The price build up. My understanding is that the taxes are about 50%.
Yes.
Does it still hold?
Well, that is what we've known. Bawa, is that correct?
Yeah, so it depends because I need to look at the computation again because if it is an alvarorium, if it is a percentage, normally it will increase with the prices. But if it is a fixed prices, so I need to take a
before you can tell exactly how
the current figures how they look like.
Please go ahead, Martin. Do we still have Martin Kpebu? Oh, it appears we.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Martin.
Yes, so to the extent this form about 50% of the price build-up, we can do something. Because you remember, about last year, 20, you remember the drone strike?
Yes.
Yes, protesting had been quite killing. And then government said we'll do something again. Because otherwise, you know, everything is going to increase. You know, prices increase. It's going to have a cascading effect on other commodities, you know, because a lot of things turn on fuel. So if you increase fuel prices, you're going to have a rise in inflation because the market woman is going to take the stuff to aboard a vehicle. So the food we buy in Accra, whether it's coming from OT region or it's coming from northern region, prices will go up. And so when the yam gets to Accra, the prices are going to go up. So the foodstuffs. So we are really digging ourselves in if we, allow the prices to keep increasing and increasing. So that's my take. That, look, we've reached our limit. We should put a cap on this further increments of the fuel by reducing the taxes on the fuel. That's the way to go.
That's the way to go. You can share your thoughts with us if you're hitting the pumps today. You can even share visuals with us on Facebook. Let's know with the hashtag AM Show. Share with us how you feel about these latest developments.